So I just got done watching episode number 4, season 3 of Brockmire on IFC Tonight. And I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm Matt Levine. Thank you for joining me here on the YouTube channel. Please do go ahead and subscribe. Check out 954sports.com. So let's talk about episode 4. Mixed feelings on this episode for several reasons. I think it had some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good at the end. So I'll tease that. Let's get into it. First of all, the episode, I would say for about 85% of it was more depressing than humorous. I don't know why. I didn't get as many laughs from this episode as I usually do because it took the focus off Brockmire a bit and he kind of sheared the stage. And it took a look at his family and an introspective into his relationship with his sister, who has a world of problems of her own that she's managed to solve with somewhat of a midlife crisis that she's sort of been able to piecemeal together a road to happiness. And they go through that as they open up the show. I'll explain. Complete shock value. The crux of it, the sister, Brockmire's sister, she's an out of the closet lesbian, yet she does not want to fully divorce or give up on her asexual husband. Norm plays a great role. He just sits there, goes with the flow, doesn't say a word, and he's one of the most brilliant characters, I think, of Brockmire history. Love that guy. I love the focus. Just enough on Norm. Plays his role perfect. Perfect. But the episode starts with the sister finding her sexuality after a reconstructive vagina surgery, and she goes to the library, and a wild side of her comes out and falls in love with the librarian, and there's this hardcore lesbian scene in the beginning, and that introduces you to the sister's new lesbian lover, another great character, Sam. So Norm and Sam, integral parts of carrying episode 4, season 3. There's no doubt about that. Both of them pretty hilarious. Now, the beginning of the episode of focus is on Brockmire's sister, and with her finding new life in all kinds of ways, she travels down to Central Florida, where, again, Brockmire is refocusing his efforts on remaining sober and getting back to the big leagues with a golden opportunity, filling in for the regular play-by-play announcer, J.K. Simmons, a.k.a. Matt the Bat Hardesty, who has cancer. He's dealing with that. So again, Brockmire, that's the genesis of season 3. That he gets back to the big leagues. So he's ironing out everything. Sister comes to visit with Norm and Sam. Interesting, both characters, right, from Cheers. I don't know. But a couple of great one-liners in this episode 4. One of them is Jim goes on a great Brockmirean tirade or just a spiel about how much he hates South Florida upon their visit, and then pulling up to his house. And I think it's kind of cool. You get to kind of see his setup there in Central Florida, right? And he just goes off on a tangent, walks him into the house, shows him where they'll be staying. And one of the great one-liners is Central Florida is nothing, as he ends part of his tangent with the sentence, is an incubator of butt sweat. If you've been to Central Florida or South Florida, any place basically in Florida in the hot months of the year, that sums it up. Hits the nail on the head. Okay, so you get this introduction with Jim's sister coming to visit him, as she's a newfound person. Then she drops a bombshell on Jim that basically the mom, who is this actress who gets introduced into the episode, into Brockmire, her name is Linda Levin. Wow, she's a great actress. Tremendous, tremendous actress. I love talking about the different actresses and actress Linda Lavin, actors and actresses, and just talent that they bring onto the show, week in and week out, and she's great. So she plays Brockmire's mom, and Jim's sister says that they're going to meet up with the mom. Now, they go meet up with her, and the deal is that Jim's sister hasn't seen her since she abandoned them as kids, but Jim has had a secret relationship with the mom for 50 years, and that comes out later in the episode. But the introduction of his mother, who again is played by Miss Lavin, it depresses you because you see what a manipulative piece of S she is. Just a horrible woman. And she reveals to Jim, and they reveal to the show and the audience, like yours truly, that they've had this secret relationship. Jim has not been abandoned by his mom. In fact, they go on to detail it throughout, and they even end the episode with saying Jim's pretty much a chosen one. The mom chose to have a relationship with at some point in Jim's life, revealed at the end. And while the sister, they go to the restaurant, sister goes to the bathroom, and Jim's mom and him, and Jim says, let's cut to the S, and what do you want from me? And they get into it, and she reveals that she's been a spy throughout, her life, as working for the Russians. Now she works for the Armenians, and she basically needs Jim to introduce her to some big league players through his job to get intel on the players to use with the Armenians for sports wagering, for gambling. The premise, the idea of introducing that, I wasn't crazy about it. And a little the back and forth with Jim and his mom, I didn't find as many laughs as I usually do in Brockmire episodes. I felt bad for Brockmire. Again, empathy throughout this episode. More depression than laughter. I don't know why, but throughout the show, but there were great one-liners. I mentioned one before. There's another one. And they hit this right on the head because my thought went right through my head as he said this. And at one point when the sister steps away in the restaurant, Jim and his mom getting down to business and talking about what she wants from him. And that's, again, to get inside information. She's working for the Armenians, right? Jim says one thing to her. She goes up on a diatribe. And Jim says, everything with her is a digression wrapped up in a tangent. And I said, wow, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And that's exactly what Jim does. He just intertwines it with his brilliant style of play-by-play, which is intertwined with the way he sees life and his ability to not turn off his thoughts and have no filter. And he gets it right from the mom, and he points that out. So that was right on point. Jim also tells the mom a great line, okay? This is the last one that I'll refer to. And then I'm going to tell you what I gave it. Thumbs down, thumbs up, maybe thumbs in between, we'll see. And I'll tell you about the ending in this episode. So Jim says to her, no matter what in baseball, right? Guys make the Hall of Fame as racist, cheaters, wife beaters, but you can't get there by gambling on the game. And he is so right. Talk about the ultimate cardinal sin in baseball. That is it. That is it. I don't even have to give you the examples. They didn't do it in Brockmire. I'm not going to do it either. I thought that was a great line in tonight's program. So there were some good laughs. There was some thought-provoking things in a comic relief manner. It helped me take away some of the stress of life in the day for nearly 30 minutes. And I'll get to the point here that made it an episode worthy of my review and how I thought on, again, the thermometer, okay? Now, towards the end, at the last commercial break, I thought to myself, this could be the first Brockmire episode that I give a complete thumbs down. I came close. I've come close. Episode 2, I was like, 1, 3, last week. Episode 1 was great. I thought 3 was great. You know, they've all been really good, and they've all done one incredible thing that a good TV show does. And that's tease you and leave you hanging with just enough at the end where you can't wait for next Wednesday. And they did that again. So success for them. So towards that last commercial break, I'm thinking I might have to go thumbs down. But right before they go to that break, there's a scene. And I want to say one thing about Brockmire and the production with all the IFC stuff they do. They always have great cutaways and just these cool, you know, clips of B-roll or scenic backdrops. And the last scene before they go that last commercial break, Brockmire's in front of this groovy old retro total South Florida liquor store, and you can see he's breaking down. He makes a phone call, and you're thinking it's to a newly introduced character, his sponsor Shirley, for help, and he says, I'm breaking down. They go to commercial, they come back, and as I'm thinking it's going to be thumbs down, everything got scratched because they reintroduced this guy who I just think as good as Hank Azaria is. I mean, he is Brockmire. He makes the show. This is his 1A to his 1. And this young man I've talked about before, this kid's just on a path to becoming a big-time A-list actor. I have a feeling. Tyrell, Jackson Williams, Charles. And they come back from the commercial break, and Charles is at the door and says, I took the first flight. And he gets reintroduced into Brockmire Season 3, Episode 4. Took 4 episodes. You knew he was going to come back. And he absolutely saved the day. As he and Brockmire talk things over, he explains to him, you know, what's going on with life. And Charles is astonished, and they have a nice little scene toward the end where Jim talks about how hard it is just to be a good person and do the right thing. And you see the wisdom, as I've talked about before. Charles has always been more the adult than Jim. It should be the other way around, but it's slowly but surely getting there as Jim is remaining sober, finding himself, and becoming less of a narcissist and more of a giver than a taker. And he's realizing, you know, there's a good side of him, and he's becoming secure about himself and who he is without the bottle and the drugs and all that. But you can see the itch and the crave, the addiction is there. And the human side of Jim is there, and Charles brings this all out of him, just wise beyond his years. So he saved the day. It was great to see him reintroduced into Season 3. And again, they teased it next week briefly, saying that he will be a part of the episode. Again, I'll go over the things. I really didn't dig too much of the sister and the mom playing such a big role. Some of the humor was off, but again, there were some great one-liners. As I mentioned, 3 of them, and just seeing Charles at the end. So with that said, Charles saved the day, and you get a thumbs up for episode 4. Probably my least favorite episode thus far, but again, episode 5 is on tap for next week, and I'm looking forward to that.